Hi, Michelle, and we are here with Fritz Henderson, chairman, or I shouldn't say chairman, CEO of General Motors. You do have a chairman. We're going to talk about Ed Whitacre Jr. here in a little bit. 40 days, that's a really fast in and out of bankruptcy. Do you look back on this and say, even I'm a little bit surprised that we got it done in 40 days?
Well, yes, surprised, but not, I wouldn't say shocked. We had, first of all, start out with strong support from the buyer, the U.S. Treasury and the Canadian government. Without it, without the DIP financing, without the financing couldn't have been done. And without the support of the U.S. taxpayer and the Canadian taxpayer, General Motors couldn't be where we are today. But then we were very well organized, our own team. We had a great team of advisors. We had a precedent in front of us. And we worked around the clock, day in and day out, to do it as fast as we could.
I've been saying for some time that, in many regards, the easy part is over. Even though bankruptcy is not easy, the tough part is now. You've got to win back customers. You have to prove yourself now. You've been given a second chance at life. You said this morning it's all about the customers, cars, and culture. Those sound good on paper, but can you truly change the culture of this company?
We think we can, and I happen to agree with you. The tough part is now in front of us, but it's actually the fun part. Dealing with the period in the last year and a half, and certainly since bankruptcy, the sacrifices, the various sacrifices that people have made, it's been really tough. And you have to be appreciative of the support we've gotten. You have to understand that many people are sacrificing. Got to make it worth it for people. General Motors has to succeed. And then if you think about it, okay, it's the tough part. Okay, we have to win, but that's okay. That's what we should be doing. This is where we should be spending our time.
The skeptics say you guys have been talking about changing the culture and becoming more nimble and a faster company for years. And every time you talk about this, the performance, it gets a little better, but it never reaches the level that it needs to.
Well, won't repeat what we talked about today. I think we've certainly have the capability, not only the balance sheet and the operating structure to win. Okay, so all the time we had to spend on that in the last 5, 10, 15 years, we don't have to spend time on that anymore. We can spend time on customers and on cars and on being external. Spend our time there. We'll be a lot leaner with the organization that we announced today. Far fewer people, and I'm excited about getting back into the car business.
Ed Whitacre Jr., when we talked with him today, somebody asked the question, what do you base Fritz's performance on? He said, as long as he makes money for the company, and how much money he makes for the company. When do you get back in the black? And when do you start repaying the government loans?
Let me deal with each of those. We will update. We have a new board that will be updating here at the early August. When we developed our viability plan, and there's nothing I know today which would change this. When we developed our viability plan and launched it in the spring, late spring, around the bond exchange, it called for an EBIT level of above break-even in 10, and a profit before tax level on an adjusted basis above break-even in 11, and operating cash flow in 11. There's nothing I know today, Phil, which would suggest we can't achieve that. We do, however, need to update our board on what our projections are, and then be more explicit about it subsequent to that. With respect to paying the loan back, the loans are due in 2015, and as I said today, these loans don't have call protection, and these loans, there's no penalty for prepaying them early, and it's our job. What we really want to do is pay these back as soon as we possibly can.
Why bring back Bob Lutz? And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean that from the standpoint that some people will say, while Bob is incredibly talented and perhaps is the most talented person in the car business with all of his experience, he also brings, to a certain extent, he's a double-edged sword. His candor is refreshing, and yet at the same time, he can say things that make people within the company say, not really sure he should have said that.
Bob is passionate. He cares about the company. As I said today, this is the only way I knew of to prevent it from going through another round of OEMs, actually.
Sure.
But he's a change agent, and he's exceptionally talented. And I think the General Motors of the future, we need to have people like Bob, and particularly in a situation, he knows the company, Phil. He knows what we have to do. He knows what we can do, and he's passionate about it. I personally thought, given what he wanted to do, we'd be nuts not to do this.
Was there any hesitancy or pushback from the Auto Task Force when you said, we want Bob Lutz to come on and take on an even bigger role?
Zero.
They were all in favor for it?
There was no pushback at all.
Interesting. Fritz Henderson, the CEO of General Motors, day one of their second chance at winning back American auto buyers. As we said earlier, now comes the tough part. You got to prove it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for joining us. First on
Appreciate
CNBC. Guys, back to you.